I knew as early as February 2020 that I needed to do something.
I recognized that there was a systematic problem and that this was not about hydroxychloroquine, it was something larger.
Fear shut the world down, and people made a lot of money at it as they were killing us.
I was asked to speak at a freedom rally that was set up to discredit my reputation.
Whoever orchestrated this must not have the safety of this nation in mind.
Medicine and politics should be separated. These doctors were handcuffed.
The American public has awakened. We have a new civil rights movement to restore our rights, and we're going to hold them accountable.
It is a natural progression of a man of God or woman of character to see injustice, to seek it out, and then to act upon it.
Do you hear me? We will never lock down again. This is the hill we die on.
Don't miss New American Heroes with attorney Warner Mendenhall and John Davidson, Mondays on BrokenTruth.tv.
And with Broken Truth, I'm John Davidson, and today I've got Nicole Sirotek and Dr. Sabine Hazan, and they're going to talk to us a little bit about acetaminophen and Nicole's viral tweet that just went on. So we'll bring you guys in. Good evening, Dr. Hazan and Nicole. How are you tonight?
I'm good.
Good. I'm kind of a little tired, but hanging in there.
Yeah, you both have been through a lot through your pub peer attacks that you get, Dr. Hazan. We definitely have to talk about some of that. And Nicole, you blew up yesterday with this acetaminophen overdose issue. I'm going to go ahead and show that so the audience can kind of see what it was. It's about 3 minutes long. Okay.
So it's about, it's going to be 6 a.m. finally. And for those of you who don't follow me on Twitter, I recommend that you do. I got a call, a very frantic call at 4 o'clock in the morning from a husband whose wife is now dying of liver failure on a ventilator in an ICU because she was trying to prove that Tylenol doesn't cause autism because of what Trump said on the news. Mind you, that's a Harvard study. Now, whether or not you believe the Harvard study or not is not the issue here. The issue is that she's somewhere between 23 to 25 weeks and she overdosed on Tylenol. And she's going to die. She's not going to come off that ventilator. And the guy got my phone number from somebody. Somebody gave it to him. I mean, guys, it's early in the morning. I'm still in Hello Kitty sweatpants in my gym trying to work out. And she's going to die. It's going to be, let me tell you something about Tylenol overdosing and death, is that if you aren't administered the antidote, it is a very slow and painful death, okay? Because Tylenol, as well as Benadryl and aspirin, are the three most common OTCs that people will typically try to unalive themselves with, so I don't get censored. But now people are just taking massive amounts of Tylenol to prove Trump wrong. I mean, weren't these the same people who put Harvard and Fauci and the pillars of science on a pedestal? And now they refuse to believe it. Like, I don't believe it either. But I'm also not going to go overdose on Tylenol either. And it's just so sad because he has to make the choice of them going and trying to emergency deliver this baby. And the baby may not survive. The baby's going to spend a long time in the NICU. Hopefully the baby will survive. And remember, guys, preemies have complications even if they do survive. I didn't ask him if he had more children. So, I mean, let's say this woman they have more children. They lost their mother. Baby's not going to grow up with the mom. He lost his whole life if this baby dies too. All because of TikTok challenges, guys. Everybody wants, well, not everybody, but maybe these crazy liberal women. They, literally hate Trump so bad that she killed herself and her baby, potentially. I'm just I don't even have words for this because it's such a waste of life. It's such a waste of life. Like this was a preventable situation. This situation didn't even have to exist. It wasn't like she woke up and was in a car accident, a freak car accident, or something fell off a building and killed her. She willfully did this herself. So I don't know. What are you guys saying? I've got to stay off TikTok because that's all the nonsense that I keep seeing right now. And I'm going to try and hopefully finish my workout in my Hello Kitty sweatpants now that I'm done helping. Well, I mean, probably not done helping this guy. He keeps calling. But I don't know. Pray for these people, folks. Pray for them. They need help.
So, yeah, that tweet got picked up by a few big accounts, and I don't know, at least 5 million views at this point. Nicole, what's the fallout been since you posted that?
I mean, the positive of it is that people are aware that this is happening, that Tylenol, something as simple as Tylenol that you can buy over the counter, is dangerous, that it can be deadly. And I mean, so I try and focus on the positive. The negative is where my husband is legitimately concerned about the safety of our family again. John, you kind of saw the fallout from when I spoke at Senator Ron Johnson and like the stalkers that I ended up with and just what it did to the safety of my family and my children. So we're getting that feeling again, like this is going to be another situation like that. But once again, just trying to focus on the positive. The message is getting out there that Tylenol can be dangerous, and we're lucky enough to have Dr. Sabine here to help explain that as well.
Yeah, Dr. Hazan, what do you think? I mean, this all seems to stem from the announcement Monday that HHS put out that acetaminophen is linked to autism and ADHD. What do you think about that?
I mean, it's an interesting study and definitely could have some, basis as a risk factor for autism. I don't think it's the only drug that can cause autism or the only problem that causes autism. Autism is multifactorial, in my opinion. But here's the thing, again, here we are where politics are meddling into medicine, where an announcement was given as hey, maybe this is, it gets doctors thinking, definitely it gets scientists thinking. This is what science is all about, throw out the hypothesis and then others start debating the hypothesis, right? And that's how we do it in medicine and science. The problem is now when a politician is saying that, and it gets people angry because they already have a short fuse when they hear anything from this politician. There probably should have been a disclaimer that says, by the way, if you're going to engage yourself in taking a drug like Tylenol, beware that you have 8 hours to 24 hours to take the antidote. Otherwise, you're dead in 4 to 18 days. End of story. So I think the reason when you called me on this today, I couldn't believe, first of all, I'm not on TikTok, and there's a good reason why I'm not on TikTok. I'm not wasting my time on that. But the fact that there are kids out there that are not educated. I remember when I was in high school, I knew you can't take too much Tylenol because it's going to shut down your liver. I mean, is that not taught in school? Do kids not know that Tylenol overdose exists and that you can end up in liver failure? Maybe there should be announcements all over the news, all over the media. Beware, if you're engaging yourself in a TikTok challenge, get yourself quickly to the hospital to get the antidote, because you have 4 hours to 24 hours to get the antidote. So it's there should be, and thank you, Nicole. I would not be scared of people coming after your family. I think you did a great job at sounding the alarm. And I think you did a good deed to try to save lives. So bravo to you, because that's the first thing I would have done. In fact, actually, let me just tell you, as John called me this morning on this, I started trying to write a message to warn people on Twitter, or X rather. I don't know why I'm still calling it Twitter, but on X. And you popped up Your TikTok video, Grok AI. I basically went on AI to look up a bunch of things, and Grok says, well, TikTok video by Nicole went viral because kids are doing that. I couldn't even believe that was a thing. I couldn't even believe that kids are challenging other kids.
Well,
I mean,
about a year ago, it was the Benadryl challenge, and before that, it was the cinnamon challenge, and those were incredibly dangerous as well.
And they're not just kids. One was a doctor.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this is almost like I don't know. This is just evil. It's evil. There's no other word to say. This is like enticing people, increasing anger. Because it seems like that's what's happening, right? It seems like I honestly do not recognize anything in America anymore because it's all about so angry. The media's angry. Everybody's angry. A person dies and people are angry and people are happy. Like there's no middle ground anymore. It's
Right.
like you're making fun of the person that died, or you're sad about the person that died. There's no middle ground. Like, where do we become human again? And probably this is the way that we're heading into robots taking over humanity, because humanity is just gone mad. When I see TikToks, and by the way, that kind of tells you we have a serious problem, not only in America, but around the world. My whole field is the microbiome, and microbiome alteration is linked to mental health, right? Gut-brain axis problem. Everybody's talking about that. We saw with COVID how many people died from COVID. We see how many long COVID patients we have, how many injured patients we have, spike protein injury we have. We have to start realizing we have a mental health issue in this country. And when I see TikTok videos of a Tylenol challenge, I mean, that's borderline mental health. I'm sorry. And I'm going to call it like it is, because you're telling someone to take Tylenol. So what? So they can end up in liver failure, and what? You're going to laugh about it when they're dead in 4 days or 18 days? That's ridiculous. So, my message and why I'm here tonight is whoever's listening to this or watching this, if they did the Tylenol challenge, they need to get to the hospital ASAP before 24 hours. If you go 25 hours, 26 hours, you're dead. Don't even bother going. You have 4 to 24 hours to get to the hospital. Get yourself to the hospital. You're on mute, John.
My wife must have done it. Now, is it possible, Dr. Hazan, that a patient could take a less than normal dangerous dose, and maybe there's something about a depleted glutathione, or I'm butchering this.
Yeah, so not everybody is equal, right? So you can take, if you've taken Tylenol before and you've taken 1 to 2 pills and it doesn't affect you, you're probably fine. But if you start accumulating, pills, and you have a liver failure problem to begin with, or your kidneys are not excreting as well, or you have a metabolism problem, then unfortunately, even less of an overdose can be lethal. So you got to be careful.
So perhaps that's what's happened in this case, because I can't imagine that even if you were angry at Donald Trump, that you would take a lethal dose intentionally.
Well, I mean, you don't know the case, right? I mean, the
Right.
woman could have had fatty liver. The woman could have had liver problems or pregnancy. You don't know the case. So, this is why, first of all, Tylenol is not recommended in pregnancy, and I think the company says it out there. I think, it's not well known to the medical professionals. I remember when I was pregnant, there was, I was very, very careful of what I was ingesting, because I
Right.
realized that anything could affect my baby, right? And, the whole thing with autism is, I was just talking to a couple of my patients because this whole case of autism came on. And I said, do you remember taking Tylenol? And, one parent said, yeah, my kid had a fever after the hepatitis B vaccine, or my kid had an ear infection. And, my doctor told us to give them Tylenol. And, you kind of like your head starts, asking questions, right? Which is what science is all about. It's just one more clue that maybe it's, like this patient that I was talking to, she really believed that it was the Hep B vaccine. But then when you add the Tylenol to it, she gave her kid Tylenol after the fever. And then when you add to it the fact that the kid was constipated, and then she gave this kid some other products to, evacuate his bowel movement, which also killed the microbiome. We discovered that loss of bifidobacteria was a problem in autism. So are you killing your bifidobacteria possibly with Tylenol? And then are you killing it even with products that you keep giving? And then it becomes one thing after another. And pretty soon you have no more microbes that help you absorb sugar or that are giving you immunity. So, I think that's, Tylenol is an interesting thought and an interesting hypothesis and needs to be looked at carefully. And at the same time, for those that are listening or are upset at Trump, please don't, if he upsets you so much, you're killing your own microbiome, turn off the TV, stop listening to the news. There's so many other things to do in the world than to listen to the news.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, Nicole, you have been contacted, right? Several news organizations.
Yes, apologies. My family's being rather loud in the background. I did. I was able to get back to the gal from CNN. She wanted to kind of have an update and talk with the husband. And I said, I haven't heard anything else, anything new, but I did encourage her to go into the comments section of some of the posts and see some of these comments about how people have been affected, especially like accidentally. Maybe if I try and contact him again, he'll be willing to talk to CNN, it being a big name brand, possibly. One can hope. But I was able to email her too. There was another news organization, but like I said earlier, Dawn, I'm at like 1,700 emails. And I'm over here trying to triage them while on here. So things are getting lost. Things are getting lost in the messages as well. So I apologize if it seems like I'm not trying to talk to people. We can't get through this. I'm just really sorry.
There's a difficulty in a situation like this where you cannot release a person's private information, even if you're not, in a signed contract with them, because, there's a human side of this, right? This is a man whose wife is and child may be dead. In which case, giving that to CNN or any news organization would be, I would say, unethical.
Mm-hmm. I can pass the information on to him, but I can't make him do anything. I haven't heard from him. We were kind of talking about that because I wanted to check in and see how things were, and I haven't heard back. And people are screaming at me in the comments section, like, why haven't I found out more information? Why haven't I told them what hospital this is? And things like that. And like, if this video is going viral as it is.
Yeah, I don't think it's your role though. You're like, you've already done your good deed to report that.
I am not the center of this story. And here's the confusing part, because some people are like, well, why did he contact you? And this goes back to the fact that you may be new to my following. This is a common occurrence for me weekly. John, one of our nurses, she just had to change her phone number because she was getting inundated and she had to set boundaries. I found out that my phone number was given out by a doctor on a podcast. I'm like, okay, maybe this explains it.
Oh, no.
There's a person yelling at me in the comments because they don't have my cell phone number. And I'm like, I'm really not that special and important, guys. The thing is that there is such a mistrust in healthcare that someone who had my contact information, who somehow knew this man, said, call her. And if you're looking for a Hail Mary, how many Hail Marys have we dealt with, John, in the past?
Yeah, it's terrible because you've got these hospital systems that sort of have protocols that exclude scientific method and critical thinking.
Yeah.
And in that situation, they need someone to call. And who do they call? Hey, I'm going to call that doctor that I saw speak to Ron Johnson, or that nurse that I saw speak to Ron Johnson. And it's a difficult situation if you take yourself off the chessboard and you're unavailable. People die. What do you do?
Yeah.
And then people are like, well, if they're a liberal, why are they contacting you? And this is also really interesting because we actually help a lot of different type of people. I mean, would somebody who's a Democrat probably be more hesitant? Probably. But John, I mean, you saw what we did in the LGBTQ and trans community. You saw what we did with monkeypox. I have liberal family members. Does that mean I love them less? No, it's not. Over the years, I've just picked up the phone. I mean, right, John? I called you. What did you do? You picked up the phone.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. And it's hard for people who have never seen that, someone who legitimately wants people not to get hurt, to see that when what they see is the TikTok nurses dancing or saying they're not going to give oxygen to Republicans or something like that. Like I don't have an answer. I've just always picked up. That's how it has always been.
When did medicine become, I have to look at the political affiliation of the patient before I treat him, like I personally don't care. I think majority of my patients are actually Democrats. And, because I live in Malibu and, they want something other than pharma. So to me, it's just become so ridiculous and so politicized. The big thing about this case, by the way, that I just want to, again, be the voice of reason here. I don't want people that took the challenge and took one pill of Tylenol freaking out as well, right? Because, we also have to kind of think about how else is it going to be perceived, right? Because here we are saying, if you've overdosed, so look at the package behind the Tylenol, and if you've done more than the recommended behind on the label, and look at your weight and look at who you are and look at your disease, if you don't have any diseases of liver or kidney failure, then do the right thing. If you've overdosed, go to the hospital. If you've not overdosed, you should be fine. But I think there's two sides to every story. The politics and the media have taken these. I'm just thinking of like this scenario here that we're talking about. How are they going to twist it? And that's what I worry about. It's basically, oh, well, everybody's running to the hospital, because they're worried about Tylenol overdose. First of all, you should not be doing a TikTok challenge on Tylenol. End of story, period. And if you're doing it, you'll probably go to the hospital to get yourself checked for something wrong with your brain.
Maybe if you're pregnant, you should just avoid TikTok. That would seem to be the better option.
And by the way,
and that's what was blowing up, was these pregnant women doing this. And I'm just, what you see on social media is not real, like most of the time. So are they really taking it? Did they just take gummy bears? Like, how do we know? But then we have this one woman who is in serious and critical condition, completely altering the course of her entire family, because that's what people were doing. And people are like, no, pregnant women are doing that. You're making this up. I'm like, did you go to TikTok and look at this? There was a doctor who was on there shimmying around, like showing everybody she was taking Tylenol. There was a man guzzling a liquid bottle of Tylenol, like AM for like cold and flu. And you see people in the comments saying how they almost were harmed because they mixed cold medicines, or they accidentally were taking Tylenol in between their Percocets and things like that. And I'm like, one thing I'm like really frustrated about when this whole announcement came out is that there was no additional public education on this. There wasn't. And John, we talked about this earlier, is that there's going to be unintended consequences for this. And I labeled a couple, like people are going to go naturopathic, which is understandable, but are they going to check the dose? Are they going to follow the instructions? Are there instructions on the bottle? Are they going to give their children Tylenol or ibuprofen for fevers? Or are we going to see a surge of, pediatric febrile seizures in the ERs? And things like that. And I'm like, there's going to be unintended consequences because of this. And nobody, and I feel like everyone just forsaken the pregnant women. They're like, by the way, there's a risk, or it could cause whatever, autism. You shouldn't take it. Well, what should they take? You just talk to your doctor. Well, you're saying not to do this, but then the doctors are telling you, and you can see it in the comment section, take Tylenol. I was told to take Tylenol. I took Tylenol. But now they're not supposed to. What are they supposed to do now?
What was the disease that we were warned about when I was a kid, that children and young teenagers shouldn't take Tylenol? When you had a cold, like Reye's syndrome or something?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think it's aspirin.
But wasn't that a thing?
viral
Like,
ones.
it was always kind of, I thought, Tylenol had sort of, people understood the warning. You were right. Heck, I knew if you were going to go out drinking, Tylenol was not what you want to take to deal with the unfortunate hangover. Yeah.
I agree with Nicole in the sense that there should have been some notice or some, and especially from our health advisor, our health leaders, right, in the agencies, there should have been, look, if you have a fever, consult your doctor or do this, because let me tell you, like even aspirin, I had one patient that had a GI bleed at 2:00 in the morning with one pill of aspirin. All these drugs have side effects and risks, right? So, but what do you do? And at the very least, you need to understand the risks of anything you're taking on in the body. Or maybe compensate, right? Add vitamin C to your regimen when you're taking Tylenol, add glutathione. There's so many things that you can do, to make sure that your baby is healthy, in my opinion.
There was back to the media part, there was an urgent desire, it seems, to disprove what Nicole said. That's what I would say the media, especially the traditional media, would want to do, rather than address the benefits. And what does that mean? Well, if you look at stories out right now, NPR had to run out and say, the president is saying that acetaminophen is linked to autism. But here's why he's wrong. There's such a desire to disprove or call something misinformation that you're not actually just paying attention to the information. Is it wrong for Nicole to come forward and say that, hey, this guy, he's about to lose his wife from this? I think it's right for her to do it. Is it wrong that she's going to be attacked for it?
I think she did, her duty to warn people to try to save as many lives as possible and to stop the stupidity of taking a Tylenol challenge. And I'm going to just keep saying it. This is stupid. Stop doing that. Stop listening to people. Right. Stop being a follower. How about that? Stop being a sheep. Start thinking for yourself. Start reading the data. Start reading both sides of the data. My God, we're what's going on to humanity? What happened to critical thinking? What happened to being free to do whatever you want to do and not follow a bunch of, radicals, because that are trying to make the world angry because it sells marketing, it sells, drama, it sells the media, it sells everything. I'm just so tired of all that. And by the way, all that kills your microbiome. So get off the train that gets everybody excited.
Here's Reuters. Tylenol is safe, doctors tell pregnant moms. Why wouldn't they take a beat and just sit that one out for a second, versus immediately running out with that?
They could have said Tylenol is safe up to a point. However, we are looking at new data
right.
that seems to be interesting, right? Because remember, science is only as good as science is at the moment of science. But then when something contradicts the science, then it's a different science, right? So I think we need to be, very careful.
Well, just to cover our bases, is there anything else? Because I know that I think CNN was looking for more information. Obviously, they want to confirm, they want to contact the father, they want to see if this is true. And I can't fault them for that, but I'll just give a brief background. Nicole and I did talk. We did look into the phone number of the gentleman that contacted her. And the most we're going to say is that the number links to the Midwest. And if the father, husband, whatever, if he wants to come forward, that's fully on him. But I can just, when I've experienced grief, the last thing I want to do is run on the CNN.
Although, you know what? I probably would, just because I want to get hurt by that.
True.
Rest of the people. I mean, sometimes you got to step into hell to save, the devil, the evil people. So,
Yeah.
I think, I'm not saying that CNN and are definitely evil, but I'm just saying that, if the population that's not listening to us is on the CNN platform and we want to save lives,
Right.
perhaps we need to go on CNN to talk to that population, and basically try to, enlighten them not to do a Tylenol challenge.
Right.
Was aspirin, FYI.
Sorry, what was that?
Rice syndrome was aspirin.
Oh, that's it. Thank you. I knew there was something.
Yeah, so just in case, because aspirin also has problems. So
Right.
all
That's
drugs
perfect.
have problems. All drugs, okay?
You can overdose on water.
And guess what? You have AI now. Go on Grok. Ask Grok. It's not great, but I mean, medical advice, and it'll tell you, I'm not a doctor, but at least, hey, it's better than listening to TikTok.
Yeah. Nicole, is there anything else you want to add to this particular story?
No, I mean, we're just hoping that we can reach out kind of gently again and maybe find out the status of what's going on. But I can't make anybody talk to me. I'm more of a resource. So if he doesn't need the resource, he may not contact me. And we've seen that happen numerous times. But hopefully he will reach out, because there was several media outlets that wanted to talk with him, and I can tell him that they're interested, but I can't make him do anything. That's what people don't seem to understand, is I can't go out and tell you, hey, he's at this hospital and here's his name and this is what you want to do. I mean, if this video really is going viral like it is, because my husband says it is, and he's frustrated with the potential safety concerns for us, the comment section is not gentle at all with what they're saying about his wife and him. So, I mean, that too, people don't understand, is also going to deter him from wanting to speak forward when you're saying that it's natural selection. You got what you deserve.
Yeah, there's that. There's that.
There's that too. That is not conducive to building bridges and definitely helping somebody in a situation that is really horrible, a really horrible situation, by calling them names. I mean, I know I was really frustrated, because you have to understand for me as a flight nurse, we don't see people on their best day at all. We see them on probably the worst day of their lives. I had a whole family around Thanksgiving time, completely head-on collision. Everyone but the mom died. She lost her entire family that day. And then she asked, where's her, where's my husband? Where are my kids? And I, what I had to say? They're with another team. We're prioritizing you. And we're hot loading and stuff like that. And when we land, I'm running out there. I'm like, hey, I need a social worker. I need a case manager. Her whole family's dead and she doesn't know it yet. And I need somebody here for that. And that is how she's going to remember the worst day of her life. I don't think anyone needs to be told that they're a horrible person, blah, blah, blah. And this is what frustrated me about this whole situation, is it didn't need to exist. This wasn't a freak accident. I had a kid that got flung out of the back of a bed of a truck while they were, doing wheelies, slammed up against, I don't know if it was a pole or not, but anyway, blunt force trauma to the head, dead. Unnecessary. That could have been prevented. You don't get a second chance sometimes to prevent something. And that is the frustration, that if there was more information and if people weren't so politically divided, we could have prevented this. And people think it's just her. If you go into those comment sections, the nurses are telling you what's going on in those ERs and what they're seeing. I mean, it's not just me. This is happening. And I think if we stop fighting and work cohesively together, we can prevent a lot of unnecessary suffering.
Agreed.
So it's just so frustrating to see this.
I just wanted to point out that the Hodge twins had posted a story, and this is where things kind of got confusing for you, Nicole. They posted the story, and then they included just the photo of you or a screen grab from you, which made everybody think that you were the mom that took the Tylenol.
Yeah, and that was a second wave of hate that came towards me, that because of this post, they didn't report it correctly, I guess you can say. And
don't read the comments.
People are contacting me. You don't want to read the comments. They're telling me I'm a horrible mother. They're going to call CPS on me. They hope I die. They hope my children die. And so, like I said, my husband is like, what is going on? Is this are we going to go through another 2 years of this type of issue again? And I don't fault him, because John, you were there for that after Senator Ron Johnson, what happened with Team Halo, and Dr. Bowden went on Joe Rogan and explained that situation with those NGOs. It's pretty volatile, that comment section.
Yeah. Dr. Hazan, you took a few arrows as well after you spoke with Senator Johnson. Do you want to describe sort of what happened to you?
Well, I think there's a way for social media to get triggered, if you want to say that, with evil, words. Like if they're shouting, they're bold, they're calling you names. I started this thing called Block a Troll. And I just assume all of them are trolls. So I would just block. I don't need to see that negative. I don't need to see negative comments. I don't need to hear negative comments. I don't need to hear negative, and I would say, step into my lab, no problem. Just step into my lab. We play with microbes. I think you just turn it off. Otherwise it ends up killing you, and then you let it get to you, and then it again kills your microbiome. So it's not worth it. It sounds like, Nicole, you're doing the right thing, and you are also very sensitive, obviously, to the approach of how to deal with the husband. And all these comments are really hurtful, and it's just on both sides, of the politics. There's just people that are just evil and non-sensitive to humanity. And I don't care if you like Trump, if you don't like Trump, just get back to being a human again and have a heart and bring back love into this planet. We're just so divided, so much hate, so much anger. But again, I just think that we've killed the microbiome of humanity,
Dr. Hazan, Nicole, thank you both for showing up. Dr. Hazan, I'd like to we should have a follow-up interview, maybe with you and a few other of publishers who have been dealing with some of the fallout that we definitely want to come back to at some point. But I think
I'm just going to say, because you mentioned, the publication. I can't publish. So guess what? I have an amazing case of twins who are verbalizing. I'm not publishing what I did to those kids.
They were autistic?
Yes, they were autistic. Now they're fully verbal. Wow. And I'm not publishing. I'm not publishing what I discovered on the microbiome. This is my ultimatum now. You want to play those games of retracting my papers? No problem. Right. It's cheaper for me not to publish my data. It's better for me to keep my data in my brain because then it
Yeah.
keeps you alive. Because then, those who create this narrative end up needing a doctor to fix their microbiome. So bring it on. Nothing's
Yeah.
coming out of my brain. I don't need to publish. You're saving me tons of money. I love the fact that they're talking shit about me, because then I sell more books. Let's talk shit.
That's right. And I just want to say thank you both for being here. I'm sure we'll have you back. And both of you are in the movie Epidemic of Fraud, by the way, which you can see at epidemicoffraud.com. And if there's nothing else, I think we'll call it a night. And thank you both for coming on.
Thank you. And thank you, Nicole, for your good deed today.
For sure. Agreed.
Well, hopefully it'll. I mean, I think one of the comments that said that they're learning to be so much more cautious about Tylenol,
so you did good.
and I think a lot of people are. And all we can do is just pray for the people who are not taking it appropriately, and just try and educate on the safety of this drug.
And by the way, your TikTok video woke me up as well to tell my friends and their kids and all that, and my family. So thank you for that.
Agreed. All right. Thank you both. Have a great night, and we'll see you soon.